Life has a way of testing people at their weakest moments. For Clara, a young waitress with her hand in a cast, every day felt like a battle. She worked double shifts at a small-town diner, hiding her pain behind tired smiles. Customers rarely noticed her struggles. To them, she was just another server. But that night, when a particularly rude man walked in, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. Because when the mask came off, so did every assumption she had about who he really was. Clara adjusted the tray against her good hand. The cast on her left wrist was bulky, stiff, and constantly throbbing. She had fractured it weeks earlier when she slipped on the wet diner floor, but quitting work was an option. Her mother's medicine and her younger brother's school fees depended on every dollar she earned. She tucked loose strands of hair under her cap and forced a smile as the evening rush began. She had served food through pain, carried plates while biting her lip, and wiped tables when her arm begged her to stop. But no one cared, not the impatient customers, not even most of her co-workers. In their eyes, Clara was just a girl with a broken hand trying too hard. The bell above the diner door jingled. A tall man in a worn baseball cap and oversized jacket walked in. He sat at a booth near the window, glancing around with sharp eyes. His presence was commanding, but not in a kind way. When Clara walked over with her notepad, he didn't greet her. He just muttered, "About time. Took you long enough." She blinked. "Sorry, sir. What can I get you tonight?" He ordered gruffly, barely making eye contact. And when she wrote with her good hand, he scoffed. "Can't even hold a pen, right? What's wrong with you?" Clara felt her cheeks burn. She wanted to explain about the cast, but instead she bit her tongue and walked away. She had learned long ago that arguing with rude customers only made things worse. But something about this man, something about the way he studied her, made her uneasy. Throughout the evening, the man continued to test Clara's patience. He complained his coffee was too cold, even though it was steaming hot. He demanded extra napkins, then tossed them on the floor. When Clara accidentally brushed the edge of his table with her cast, he sneered, "Maybe you should have stayed home instead of pretending you can do this job." Her co-workers exchanged sympathetic glances, but no one intervened. Clara kept serving him, swallowing her pride with every rude remark. Inside, though, her frustration grew. Why was he targeting her? What had she ever done to deserve such cruelty? During her short break, Clara sat on a stool in the back, rubbing her aching wrist. For the first time, doubt crept in. Maybe he was right. Maybe she wasn't capable of doing this job with her injury. She remembered her mother's frail voice that morning. "Don't give up, Clara. You're stronger than you know." The words anchored her. With a deep breath, she returned to the dining area, determined to finish her shift without breaking down. But the man was waiting, watching, as though every move she made was part of some unspoken test. Near closing time, the diner grew quiet. Clara refilled the man's cup one last time. As she set it down carefully with her good hand, he muttered, loud enough for others to hear, "Pathetic. Can't even pour coffee properly. If you were my employee, I'd fire you on the spot." Something in Clara snapped. She straightened her back, met his eyes, and said softly but firmly, "Sir, I may not be perfect, but I'm doing my best. My broken hand doesn't make me useless. It makes me stronger for showing up anyway." The diner fell silent. Even her co-workers stopped what they were doing. For the first time, the man looked directly at her. His expression shifted from annoyance to something unreadable. Slowly, the man removed his baseball cap and jacket. The room seemed to hold its breath. Underneath, his appearance changed. Crisp shirt, polished watch, sharp features. Clara's eyes widened. She recognized him instantly. He wasn't just any rude customer. He was Elliot Ward, the CEO of a major restaurant chain, the very one that had recently acquired small diners across the state. Her heart pounded. Why was he here? And why had he acted like that? Then Elliot spoke. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. "You pass." Confused, Clara frowned. "Pass what?" Elliot leaned forward. "I came here tonight in disguise to see how this diner treats both customers and staff. And more importantly, to see how individuals handle pressure." He paused, then added, "You impressed me, not because you tolerated me, but because you stood your ground. Even with your injury, you worked hard, stayed patient, and finally had the courage to speak up. That's the kind of strength I look for." Clara was speechless. She had thought he was just a cruel man, but now everything made sense. Elliot stood, placed a business card on the table, and said, "How would you like to work for me? Not as a waitress, but as part of my management training program. You have resilience, leadership, and heart, and those are worth more than perfect hands." Clara's mouth fell open. Her co-workers gasped. The man they had all thought was just a difficult customer was actually offering her a life-changing opportunity. Her cast suddenly felt lighter. For the first time in weeks, tears welled up in her eyes, not from pain, but from hope. The next morning, Clara walked into the same diner, but this time not as a struggling waitress. Elliot was waiting for her outside, ready to take her to his headquarters. Her co-workers applauded. Even the manager, embarrassed by how he had ignored her struggles, muttered a sheepish congratulations. Clara smiled, her heart racing with new purpose. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was someone who had been seen, truly seen, for her strength. Clara's broken hand had felt like a curse, but in reality, it had revealed her resilience. Life had tested her in the form of a rude customer who turned out to be the very person who could change her destiny. As she stepped into her new role, Clara realized the truth. Sometimes the hardest trials hide the greatest opportunities. And to anyone who doubted her, she now had proof. That strength is not about having it easy, but about standing tall even when you're broken.